Well, I hope everyone's having a good Monday. Of course, this weekend we have the active weather, and now the cold is settling in. Many of you waking up to temperatures in the 20s and 30s. Again, this video is recorded at 7:38, just in case you're watching a little bit later in the day. Going to give you an update on things coming our way. Cold this week and the chance for some winter weather, and that cold really packing a punch this morning. Stepping out to wind chills in the teens from Fort Payne to Lafayette. Feels like 16 in Blue Ridge and 14 degrees in Altamont. So it's a cold morning here across the Tennessee Valley, but this afternoon we will rebound somewhat. Now our average is typically in the mid-50s this time of the year. We'll top out in the low to mid-40s, which is about 10 degrees below normal, likely staying in the 30s in some of the mountain communities to our east, especially the higher elevations, and along the plateau and Walden Ridge. So again, going to be a colder day, especially what we were accustomed to at the beginning of the month. And as we take it hour by hour, again, early on this morning, we'll struggle to get out of the 30s, but by this afternoon, we'll have some sunshine, and that'll help to warm us back into the 40s here across the Tennessee Valley. Now, as we take a look at your satellite radar, pretty calm, a couple flurries to our north, but our next system going to get going here across the plains and eventually drop down, giving some heavy snow to Missouri, parts of Arkansas, West Tennessee, and even Kentucky. So this is our system we're going to be watching that's now moving across portions of the plains. That'll give us at least the potential for a little bit of winter weather moving forward. Now, not going to be, a big time winter weather maker, but there's certainly going to be some snow possible on Wednesday. What I'm expecting is the snow to begin sometimes Wednesday morning and then transition to more of a rain snow mix. Now, if you're south of the Tennessee line, this could start out as more of a wintry mix early on Wednesday. It's going to be very contingent on our temperature profiles. If we're below freezing, pretty good chance we start as snow, and we may start as rain and then switch over to snow and then back to rain. It's just going to be one of those kind of events. Better chance of any light accumulations north of Chattanooga. Not expecting, a big snow. Nothing like what we had back in January, where most of the area got a solid 2 to 5 inches. Some of our northern communities may squeeze out 2 to 3, but that's probably going to be the high end, unless this thing starts to trend a little further to the south and there's more moisture. And again, there's always surprises with these systems, so nothing's never cut and dry with winter weather. But let's take a look at our winter weather tracker. Again, this is the European model. I'm going into Wednesday morning. We have some of that moving in. The pink and green, that's more of a wintry mix. Notice the snow in the blue, and that line is going to be very close. So there's going to be a sharp boundary between snow and rain snow mix, and maybe even a little bit of sleet across North Georgia. I think the further south you go from the Tennessee state line into North Georgia, better chance of a wintry mix, and then eventually all rain the further south you get in 75 heading towards Atlanta. Further north you go here across Tennessee, going to be a little more snow, as temperatures are going to be a little bit colder. So there's going to be a sharp divide. And then by our Wednesday afternoon, most of this moves out into the Carolinas. And then it looks like as this moves to the east, it's actually going to form a low pressure off the Carolina coast. And that could give parts of Virginia Beach and northeastern North Carolina up towards the Piedmont and near the Outer Banks, pretty heavy shot of some snow. So we can kind of look at this again. So essentially, I'm going to put this back up. So it's going to drop down. Heavy snow initially into Missouri and Arkansas. As it moves in our direction, it seems to lose a little bit of its punch, so to speak. And I'll go back. So precipitation is a little bit lighter, drier air trying to work in, and then it redevelops to our east. So that's kind of what we're looking at right now. So it'll be interesting to see how this all plays out. Our in-house model showing kind of a different scenario, more of a rain event for North Georgia with a wintry mix. Further to the north, let's see if I can find that model. I had it up here earlier. I think this is it. This is our in-house model. Let's make sure it goes out far enough into the future. So today, going to be nice and dry, and then the system moves in, maybe starting as more of a rain mix, but notice how that snow line tries to push to the south. And again, models are going to vary. There's going to be a lot posted on social media. It's our job to interpret these models and try to come up with our best solution, our best forecast. But it does look like this would be more of a rain event as a warm nose tries to squeeze into parts of southeast Tennessee, western North Carolina. But there's still going to be a pretty sharp cutoff of snow to rain snow mix in the pink. And then later that afternoon, maybe more of a wintry mix. So it's going to be very contingent on these temperature profiles. I think that one's probably a little warm. that model. But here's a look at your European. Not a lot. Again, this would primarily be on grassy surfaces because if you have temperatures borderline and we get rain snow mix, it can still snow at 35. You can have snowflakes mixing in with the rain, but that's not going to create any accumulation. This wouldn't be a big deal because I wouldn't expect this to really stick on the roads. If we got heavier bursts of snow, then we could get some slick spots. But these kind of totals really aren't going to cause too much in the way of issues. Well, I say that, but even an inch of snow can cause some problems in the southeast. But temperature profiles need to be a little bit colder. The GFS a little more bullish. You got higher amounts to our east and to our west, but for us, maybe an inch or two. And again, this would primarily be on grassy surfaces, I'm thinking. Maybe further to the north, it may stick on some of the back roads, especially along the plateau, some of the higher mountains on the Tennessee-North Carolina line where you have colder temperatures. But for us in the valley, I'm mainly thinking this is going to be on some grassy surfaces. So when you compare two models, the average between the two would be close to, under an inch. So not a huge system here, nothing like January. You also have to keep in mind the sun angle's higher this time of the year. We have more daylight hours, so that's also going to be a contributing factor to any accumulations. With that being said, if we look at the chance of an inch using our European ensemble approach, about a 30 to 50% chance there north of the Tennessee state line, with a 10 to 30% chance across northwest Georgia, higher chance along the Tennessee-Kentucky line. So the better chance of some good snow going to be to our northwest, where those winter storm watches are in effect. And as we take a look at the GFS ensemble, a little bit higher risk for an inch, or chance, I should say, 50 to 70% chance north of the Tennessee line, with up to a 30% chance across northwest Georgia and northeast Alabama, but that still puts a better chance of mainly snow to our north. With that being said, here's a look at my first call snow totals for Wednesday. I'm thinking an inch to maybe 3 across middle Tennessee, so McMinnville, maybe Spring City, Bledsoe County, up towards Fall Creek Falls and Pikeville. The northern part of Sequatchie County could pick up a couple inches, parts of Grundy County, especially in the plateau. Further south, Monteagle, Dunlap, Athens, Benton, Cleveland, Dayton, half of an inch to an inch, mainly on the grassy surfaces. That's based on current trends. And across North Georgia, we're going to have more of a wintry mix, maybe some sleet, snow, rain, kind of rinse and repeat there. That will cut down any accumulations, but there still could be a few pockets of a dusting to maybe a half of an inch. And then the further south you go into Georgia, places like Calhoun, Fort Payne, this is probably going to be more of a rain event. Yeah, if the system trends further to the south, these totals may go up a little bit. If we have a little more moisture to work with, these totals may go up a little bit. If this trends to the north, they may go down a little bit. But I think this is a pretty good first call based on everything I look at. I'm pretty comfortable with this. Again, an inch. Not going to cause major issues, at least I don't think, especially with the road conditions being generally okay, because temperatures are going to rise above freezing on Wednesday. So that's just kind of what I'm looking at from this system. So not going to be a big deal, or as big of a deal as the last one we had that came through. And that was, of course, back in January. Sun angle's lower, temperature profiles are colder, but it's still a pretty favorable track. I mean, we're going to have a Gulf flow. So again, there could be some minor tweaks to this forecast. I'm seeing if I can find our advisory map really quickly to show you kind of what we're looking at. And this is probably going to be pretty cluttered. There's some storm reports from the last time we had some storms. I'm going to show you the winter weather advisories really quickly. So we have winter storm warnings in effect for this pink shade. So southern Missouri, parts of Arkansas, West Tennessee, so north of Jackson, Paris, Union City, Dyersburg, same areas that just got hit with some very heavy flooding and significant flooding. Kentucky under a winter storm watch, Nashville, Lebanon, Dixon, all those areas under a watch. That's where conditions will probably be a little more extreme winter-wise. And then you got winter weather advisories further to the north, and wind advisories in that brown shade. So that's kind of what we're looking at. Probably more significant system a little further off to our west, but nonetheless going to have some minor impacts. There's another look That's your total map. But here's your 7-day forecast. Again, this could change a little bit, but it's going to be cold this week. However, today, tomorrow, generally going to be nice. And then looking ahead to Wednesday morning especially, if we're going to have any issues, it will probably be during the morning commute, especially for our northernmost zones. That's where we would favor any of those slick spots potentially. But notice the high is going to be 37. So after the moisture starts to move out in the afternoon, anything that fell is probably going to melt. So again, unless the system starts to trend colder and further south, I don't anticipate major impacts. We still are probably going to do a storm alert weather day. I'll talk with David, Hannah, and Audrey and see what they think. And then moving ahead to your Thursday and Friday, it's going to be bitterly cold. Overnight lows in the teens. Daytime highs struggling to get above freezing on Thursday, and then we slowly start to rebound into your weekend. So that's just the outlook of the week ahead. Snow potential is there. We'll likely see flakes. I just don't think we're going to have a ton of accumulation, but there still could be, some wintry scenes on Wednesday. I'll continue to track this system and keep you updated over the next week or so. But for now, enjoy the rest of your Monday, and we'll see you tomorrow.